Well, a new Fantastic Four movie is out with Galactus as the villain, so why don't we not only check out a Galactus storyline in the comics, that is not Lee and Kirby by the way, though that one will always be the best, but rather the first appearance of Terrax and the introduction of Herbie in the comics, and a few other familiar things to Marvel movie watchers. This one was written by Marv Wolfman and drawn by John Byrne. We start off with Franklin Richards stupidly mistaking Ben for a horse. Hey, not all humans look the same, okay? But then Scary Old Lady comes over to break the fun so she could babysit Franklin Richards. Which has gotta make money too, right? As they both disappear, all Dracula style, Sue suggests her and Reed hang out with Franklin a little more. However, Reed is too busy being pissed about their recent encounter with Quasimodo. Should have shattered the bells permanently to defeat him. Hey look, a yellow girl just showed up. Most unattractive color ever. However, since she speaks Swedish, damn, if only she could have been the lead singer of Attack in this universe. The Fantastic Three minus Johnny and the smartest man in the world cannot understand her. A Skrull comes in. It turns out he is similar to the Super Skrull we all knew before, and it looks like he's got Iron Man's powers instead of the Fantastic Four's powers combined. After a stretchaganza, the Skrull turns out not only to have Iron Man's powers, but also Torch's humans' powers as well. After a thingening, Reed then shoots him unconscious. After a tattoo-removing nap, Yellow Lady speaks English to explain why she's here. Yellow Lady is the Princess of Xandar. Yes, it is what you think it is. I honestly didn't expect it to be from a Fantastic Four comic. Or maybe it was from something else. Her planet was blown up by the Skrulls, but 4 of the planet's major cities survived. I guess we Earthlings don't have to worry if that's how it works. Domes and bridges were built as the new system, but somehow the Skrulls return. Yellow Chick is then Scotty to Earth to recruit the Fantastic Four. But the Skrull beats all the operators to get in the Scotty Porter too. Reed, Sue, and Rockbiter try to contact Johnny, but Johnny discovers that college is awesome and not something you should have learned in high school. He's also hitting on an ugly woman with black hair, as he got a high score on the Indiana Jones pinball machine. And she's turned off by him because he's also good at the Star Wars pinball. His more beautiful ginger ex named Frankie Ray meets up with him, talking about how she hates dating superheroes because they always dash out to save someone. Johnny gets a call from Reed, proving Frankie Girl's point right. Ben has to cancel his date with Alicia, of course. They were gonna see Star Wars A New Hope before it was even called A New Hope for the 23rd time, by the way. Man, time changes, doesn't it? Reed and the rest of the crew allow Johnny to drop out of this mission. I mean, one of them can stretch, one of them can turn invisible and create force fields, one of them is a rock, so I think it's fine. As Johnny heads off to apply to college, Oklahoma City happens, and then Johnny saves as much people as possible. The headmaster comes to congratulate Johnny. I like this because, come on, most media has the headmasters hating the main character. So this is refreshing. Then, as it looks like Johnny is going to become Johnny Storm Kennedy, it turns out the man who caused the explosion was a former villain of the Fours, the Monocle. Alright, so the F4 are now on the Guardians of the Galaxy's hood now. With this amazing 2-page frame, Reed and Ben are giving a couple of ass-kickings while Sue protects Adora. Oh yeah, her name is Adora, by the way.
I am Adora, He-Man's twin sister.
Sue protecting Adora is making me feel attracted for some reason. As they all get to the Capitol shelter, it's revealed that Adora's lover is dying because he got phasered. Adora makes a vow that if he dies, she will show no mercy to the Skrull Empire. The Elder Man shows the Fantastic Three a giant computer system, where whenever a Xandarian dies, his or her brain is put into this amazing tower. I'll give the artist this, he at least tried to copy Kirby's art style. And I love the platforms on each floor. So what are all the brains like? Are they all squished together? Are they in little boxes in each wall? Are all the brain beans torn apart and thrown into the walls? What happens if some of them get a stroke? Alright, Watcher, let's see this little video game 8-bit glitch transition you have here. Back at home, Johnny is admiring why his new college is so awesome. He mostly praises how beautiful the girls are, and his dorm has a security cam. Man, they really want you to end that addiction ASAP. Monocle's working for some guy, and the Monocle pulls a hocus pocus on the students, including Johnny, out of the hall. To be continued. Heck, the Monocle even refers to him as John Storm. I think that's kind of unique. The 3 out of 4 are given flying belts. Maybe it's good Johnny sat this one out. Sue does a force ball push, Reed does a tornado, Ben Calamari rolls some scrolls and then is shocked out of the way.
Oh no, is he dead or not, Reed?
Like, y'all haven't been shocked before?
The Fantastic 3.
Wake up in an Attack of the Clones trap. Ben throws some insults, and we are in a court that's kind of an arena, kind of a Queen concert, but it's a court. Scroll Judge, whose name is Judge Executioner, calls them maggots. I wish they replaced the M with F. And then sentences on the... And the judge sentences on the death. Reed is shot while he's calling Hamas murderers. Ben is shot when he's leaping to rip a hammer. The scroll gunner dawdles on Sue, and then shoots her while revealing he can avoid a force field because of infrared. We then transition to the scroll Presidente at the moment, and it is revealed that him and his wife don't get along. The queen is a smartass, and the king wants to kill her. This is exactly why arranged marriages suck. But my scroll friends should be glad that they even exist because of this arranged marriage. The Fantastic Four, missing Herbie, wakes up in a prison. Reed wakes up with his nervous system weak. At least the root canals are not gonna hurt. And the prison guard tells them that what shot them unconscious is gonna age them up into elders in 3 days. Ben is about to kick his ass, but he's certain to die in 3 seconds if he doesn't keep his rocky rage. But he is shot and then he's frozen for a few seconds. At least he has a slow recovery. Sue is about to lose hope. But Reed, of course, says the Fantastic Four never give up. Superhero stuff right there, folks. I don't know if that's the same scroll guard or a different one. I don't know, all scrolls look the same to me. He goes to serve the Fantastic Four prison oatmeal. But Sue does a solid snake choke on him while invisible, and everyone goes free. Adora is losing hope that her and her people are gonna win, but her boy toy is awake. She asks to be held tight. To all the male viewers out there, you hold her tight too. The Fantastic Not Really Four escape in a rocket ship, but another rocket ship wants to screw them up. Turns out this ship is Richard Rider Nova and a couple of misfits. Fun fact, Marvel got into agreement with DC themselves to put Barry Allen into this series. What? So it's very cool that the Flash himself is in a Marvel comic. Barry has a son named Military Man, who does not return in any DC comic for some reason. Then there's Afton, who is a native to Xandar and he absorbs energy. So he's rogue, I assume. There's Flathead, who's the Black Diamond Man. There's Sun Robot, with a golden brain and a fish tank. I have a soft spot for that kind of design. He wants the brains of Xandar for himself. But there's another who wants the brains of Xandar for himself. Sphinx. The Sphinx live for 5,000 years. As a punishment, we call Boris Karloff. Or Brendan Fraser. Tom Cruise. My main flaw with Sphinx is that his powers are the same cosmic, or how he describes himself, life powers. His powers are not Egyptian, like sand or weapons or rock, because he is made out of rock himself. Or, I don't know, summoning crocodiles, jackals, or hippos. That last one is Johnny and Sue's mom. But while that's going on, we are following Peter Parker as he was just fired from the Daily Bugle and now has a job at Superman's job. In fact, Perry White is so nice and slavish, he assigns Peter to a job already. I could say that's lame, but it's for future students who never heard of the state which university they're going to because they never lived in the States. Hey man, you just destroyed Peter's camera. Now it's on. Okay, am I supposed to be doing a comic book review here or not? He then follows military tent cars to a base, where some college kids look like they're gonna dance to Thriller. What are they, protesters? Holy crap, that still holds up. Johnny Storm shows up to Bin Laden the place, while the mindless colleges start raiding Area 51. Spider-Man starts saving some guards. The first guy he saves accuses him of working with the Torch. One guy stupidly thinks the Arachnic Man is still wanted by the cops, but another guy reminds him that he's innocent and now unquote, "Don't you read the papers?" Huh. This must have predicted the future with John Lasseter. Spider-Man then eavesdrops on Johnny's room while he's sleeping, but wakes him up to head to the printing lab. The version of printing where you use water and the paper doesn't tear apart. And Johnny says he doesn't remember being a part of the events of this reel from a silent film. Maybe that's the original Human Torch. Heading back to Monocle, the Clive, which is his boss, are about to announce a pink slip, but Monocle Cyclops is the pewter, and Monocle declares that he doesn't need the jive to control him. Monocle then uses the ceiling lamp to wake up everyone, the girls, the black people, the old woman, and the Norm, all to do his bidding. After Johnny and Spidey defeat the brainwashed college he-thems, Johnny scolds Spidey for constantly telling jokes, showing that the Thing is the comic relief of the Fantastic Four. If you were concerned we weren't going to see a brainwashed John Storm fight Spider-Man again, the Monocle has you covered. Johnny is then snapped out of his hippie drug high by a web cocoon. We then get some good dialogue here. My Monocle doesn't just hypnotize, it destroys! Oh no, he's getting away in his buildingless elevator! But Johnny flies after him. Monocle rolls his window down and blasts Johnny with his half-glasses. Johnny is about to fall to pine grounds, but Spidey makes a hammock. The tribe are pissed, but accept that Monocle is a strong, independent ginger, and turns out they have another ginger to help take over the United Nerdians. Former villain, former member of the Frightful Four, former member of the Fantastic Four, beautiful lady, and queen herself, Medusa. But that's a story for another day. What's with the ghetto and gingers? The FF are saved by Nova Rider because him and his own Star Trek fleet mistook them for a Skrull ship. But because Sue is using her shield, the FF, or for now, the FT, are the real deal. And, oh no, the age ray is kicking in. They don't have wrinkles yet, but their powers are getting weaker. Johnny Storm gets bored with college, and then he goes to Xandar. The princess is still doing her hopeless emo princess talk, but Johnny interrupts. Hey look, it's the dude from a bit ago, swimming with the brains, getting all the knowledge. Please, answer me. How do we defeat these green, shape-shifting, rooster-chin, warmongering aliens? The answer must have been so mind-blowing he'd flown off into space. Yahoo! But it turns out Spig sucked. Suck! All the brains in his mouth, and now he's a giant.
Phenomenal cosmic power!
Now that Spinks has quit being suicidal, he wants to conquer like Kang, his home planet Earth, which he describes as his prison. There's only one man to save the planet. He's purple. He's older than everyone else in the universe. He has an awesome crown. He made an ocean man awesome. He eats anything to live, like a shark in the sea. Galactus. So to find Galactus, Reed builds Herbie. Heck, they even reference the reason for Herbie's existence in the first place in this damn comic. Except instead of someone buying Johnny Storm for only a live-action TV show, Johnny didn't show up for the room for the cartoon. Ben thinks Herbie is absolutely retarded, so he represents the reader. Ben has an ongoing feud with Herbie throughout this storyline, most Ben thing ever. But then, Ben gets wrestle-slammed by Herbie. Cook. My main flaw with Herbie is that he says the
"My programming forbids me to do this or that"
cliche. And Ben, don't be suspicious of Herbie of all characters. The robot is white. If there's anyone to be suspicious about, it's you. Nova points out how the FF are more sympathetic to Nova's team, while Nova's team are going to stay on Xandar more than the fast-aging ray that hit 3 of them. Nova says, "No wonder you're called the Fantastic Four." And then the four experience a gag from Guardians 2.
Anyway, before I was so rudely interrupted, at that time, I was a Federal Expressman.
After Ben asks for a barf bag and a taco, anyone get that reference? Johnny sits down to discuss how he was barely out of high school when he became a super. Would he be the same without all that fire? After all, Reed, Sue, and Ben lived longer than he did. Not a bad view on your life, Johnny. The four are now in a sea of challengers. So the Fantastic Four head to a ship with a dying bug. The bug can translate himself, like everything in something superhero related, and then he dies. When a member of this species dies, they shrivel into this metal pod. So as Johnny throws ridiculous allegations to Reed, such as being treated like a junior member of the group, after almost 20 years, that is not true. Everyone is attacked by these same illegal bugs. Reed's trying to elongate strangle them, but oh no, they are resistant to the Four's powers! So Reed decides to capture them in his outer rib cage and colon, while Ben does the
"So long, Bowser!"
which causes the bugs inside Reed to go unconscious. Reed tubularly turns himself into a bridge. So they put all the aliens in hypersleep beds because the bugs' goal was to steal the Fantastic Four ship to escape from the Apollo 13 graveyard. So the four are kind enough to help them while they're unconscious because, well, they will kill them. If only Ellen Ripley was that kind to the xenomorphs. Ben is playing girls softball on the asteroids heading towards the ship, while Sue is trying to force field them into atoms. Reed and Herbie command Sue and Ben get back inside, while Johnny is pouting that Reed told him to simply pray. You don't even believe in God, Reed, you a scientist. So Ben grabs Sue and throws her into the ship. Then Ben pushes both doors into one. So Johnny calls Ben a lumbox and goes out to save him. As Johnny melts through the door, Ben finally goes inside the ship. As Johnny is about to die, Ben gives him the kiss of life, tabloid style.
Ben, why are you holding Johnny like that?
Again, the tabloids. So the Fantastic Four hyperspace to Galactus' ship. Bigger than you expected. Have you seen it before or not? Reed also gives a little TLDR on how the ship works. One time Galactus was consuming a planet called Pop-Up, which ended up poisoning him. The name of that planet even sounds like a berry, but thanks to the pipes in Galactus' ship, he was able to survive. Throughout the issue, Sue is the one getting weaker the most. Turns out, the Storms have a history of dying early. Just the woman, right? Herbie reveals that some of the members are gonna age quicker from natural lifetimes. Funny enough, you can see Reed Sue getting more and more wrinkles. Turns out Galactus' ship has a collection of Godzilla's inmates. As the dudes of the Fantastic Four find Galactus, he is frozen, just standing still. Johnny tries all the fire natural disasters he can think of, but it causes him to lose his flame. Because of Ben's age, he can't hold a blasted shoe the size of a bus. But he successfully throws it anyway, but the Lego on the floor melts in a force field. Oh no, Sue's about to be killed by the red car wash. Hey, Ben saved her, just in time. Ben couldn't handle the bubbles anymore, so he destroyed the building. So to get Galactus' attention, the Four releases the aliens in a wild stampede, which finally gains Galactus' attention. Then he puts all the aliens back in their abusive zoo domain, and then finally talks to the Fantastic Four. I like this because it wasn't a stupid ray gun that caused him to freeze, and we didn't need the same ray gun or a different ray gun to unfreeze him. Galactus was just ignoring the Four, because to him, they're a bunch of insects. The Four introduce Galactus to the Sphinx. Galactus knows about the Sphinx because, well, he's Galactus. However, Earth does not matter to Galactus, nor does he even care. So Reed offers that if Galactus helps them with the Sphinx, he will offer Galactus the Earth as a meal in return. Galactus agrees, but under one condition. The FF have to find a new Herald. The Herald was already chosen. If they failed, the Earth would still be an Egyptian apocalypse. Man, Galactus' ideologies from these last two pages show why he's such a good villain. They are transported to a moon via Groovy Tornado. Ben doesn't believe they're in Kansas anymore. However, Herbie, being the retarded robot, gets all smartass with the location of Kansas. Johnny is about to go explore, but Reed tells him to save his flame. But, oh no. White people with white makeup in their eye areas are running to the Fantastic Four, telling them to retreat. Turns out they talk through telepathy. So they're legendary Pokemon, and it turns out Tyros the Terrible is sending his group of genetically modified riders called Stone Knights to eat them. Stone Riders have laser lances. Huh, haven't seen that before. Well, it turns out they're robots. Sue's trying to think about how she's gonna fight one of those things, but Johnny saves her in the nick of time. But, oh no. Johnny is knocked out by one of these cow natives. The target dog native says, resisting the war men is treason, but destroying them is a worse crime. Now, the writers aren't clear about this. Are the cat natives turning the Fantastic Four in so they can be free, or were they a trap trying to lure in the Four? He looks so ugly. So they are taken hostage. Ben describes he feels pain in places he didn't even know he had. So Ben thought he was a hermaphrodite his whole life? As they head into the city with the Frankenweenie men, Ben scolds Reed for admiring the city. What? My family does every time we visit the continent of Oriental. They got hot women here, so that's good for me. So Galactus' new Herald is a cosmic cowman version of Lamech from the Bible. Tyros in this big panel has a throne and 2 slaves. Lucky him. Tyros has also gotten the hots for Sue because he has an old lady fetish. What Fantastic Four villain doesn't have the hots for Sue? Well, in this case, regardless. Oh, come on, bashful Benjamin. Didn't your old Aunt Petunia told you not to kink shame? But she turns invisible to headbutt into Tyros. And then Johnny burns his handcuffs off, and then burns Reed and Ben's handcuffs off in the same direction. Ooh. And now it's clobbering time! But as Ben is whooping Tyros' ass, Galactus summons the cool tornado to transport the Four and the robot the readers forgot about back to the ship. The same Badger men come back to thank the Fantastic Four for their freedom from Tyros. But Reed says, quote, "You have all the freedom you want, just use it wisely." The exact opposite of what Pedro Pascal believes, am I right? As the four are transported back to the ship, the Thing says another Wizard of Oz reference. Tyros is absolutely afraid of Galactus. The Thing says child metaphors to tease Tyros. Now on to some serious stuff. Galactus recounts all of his former heralds. Silver Surfer, inspired by space travelers. This is the first time I'm hearing that in a Marvel comic. Airboy, who has wings, who actually walks on the air like a staircase, but was killed by the Fantastic Four, and then was turned into a cyborg by Galactus, then killed again.
Oh my god! They killed Kenny! You bastard!
Then the crazy Hawaiian Fire Lord, whose fire beacons send signals to Galactus. Galactus changes the molecules in Tyros, and then renames him to Terrax. Each herald was inspired by an element. Silver Surfer water, so they did had surfboards on Ta. Airman was air, and Fire Lord was fire, of course. Terrax is then given an X to fight off space commies. To continue this tradition, Terrax is given the power of Earth. Observe, he can lift an entire mountain. He can command rocks into the most dangerous little dust particles as possible. Okay. He can ride a 20-foot asteroid, so he's the Silver Rocker. And can even have an asteroid follow him. Ooh, he's gonna kill so many people. Galactus is gonna love him. As long as the planet is left for food. Terrax then threatens, no wait, not threatens, actually tries to betray Galactus, but Galactus is not gonna take up with his horseshit, so he turns him into an earthworm for about 5 seconds. Did I forget to mention that I love the textures on Galactus in this? It actually does look pretty shiny, like 3D. Now that Galactus has got what he wants, he just still doesn't help the Fantastic Four anyway, and are on their own when fighting Sphinx. Just kidding, he's on his way to destroy the giant Egyptian and eat the one world he failed to eat. We then transition to the Watcher, recounting all the events. Seriously, he's a lot more gay looking here than usual. They grow up so fast, am I right? He is now grieving the future loss of Earth and Terrax's homeworld. Now this issue is called Titans 3. This is because the comic is about Galactus, Terrax, and Sphinx on Earth. A real-life Titans 3 would have been Kim Il-sung, Richard Nixon, and Charlton Heston. So the Watchers give us a previously on Fantastic Four. I wouldn't say it's a shot-for-shot recount, but that's how memories along with the 2-page film reel work. The gay-looking Watcher puts his faith in Reed, and Terrax has decided that he wants to have a little fun first. A cop is about to blow Terrax's brains out. Oh, I'm sure we all know the outcome of that. But Galactus stops Terrax before he can do anything more than damage. Terrax then makes the excuse that he's practicing to fight Sphinx. Excuses. You know what happened to me, Terrax? I got a beating every time. Oh no, Reed and Sue are 10 times older now. It looks like Sue is dying, so Reed is stretch rushing to a capsule. Johnny then reveals that a lot of the Storm family tend to die not necessarily young, but more earlier than Reed. You know what would be an interesting idea? If Johnny is an exception to that. You know, it skips a generation. Reed even regrets about him living longer than Sue. It should have been him, not her. I guess Herbie is taking Sue's spot in the name Fantastic Four. Since we have a male robot, that means no more cooties. Herbie locates Sphinx in Egypt. Reed says Herbie is not supposed to have an independent thought. Herbie's gonna end up blowing up a country in the future because he's gained intelligence, right? Spink then tells his backstory. He was a magician to the pharaoh during Moses' time. After Moses' cobra deviantarted his snake, Sphinx was banished from Egypt, so he finds a temple with a crystal. But instead of turning into a hippo like Sue and Johnny's mom, he becomes a gray man. He's lived throughout so many wars and history, and may or may not have interfered with some historical figures from time to time. He then beats Moon Knight's cloak with no face.
I want my clothing back.
As Sphinx looks into Moon Man's coat's face, which is no face by the way, all he saw was that he was gonna live forever, which he doesn't want, he wants to die. He then sees a pattern, seeing that Nova's gang and the FFF are the key to him finally dying. But as all the brains of Xandar, he wants to continue living as a king now. His first call to action? Rebuild Egypt. There's great sphinxes everywhere, George Washington monuments everywhere, there's pyramids flying in the sky. Perfect final boss battle if you ask me. If anyone's gonna fight on those, of course. Terrax shows up to destroy Sphinx, but Sphinx, just like Galactus, knows everything, so that's how he knows Terrax is the latest herald. Galactus then shows up to introduce himself. Now get ready to rumble! Reed, all old. Ben, I assume is old because he's got no teeth. Johnny, who I assume is old because he's not the same age as he was in the first ever issue. And Herbie, who I assume is old because he's a stupid old robot, are then confronted by Terrax, who I assume is old because he takes forever to work out a body like that into your own age. Oh, and also because his skin is gray. Gray represents elderly. But before that fight happened, the same Skrull from a few issues ago, who I assume is older because he turned into a computer trash can with eyes and pupils, is actually a robot, and he's learned about Earth's defense system. Preparing for the shape-shifting transvestite invasion Earth has never seen before. Before fight against Terrax, Ben can't get any blows because he's old, but I guess elderly Reed can stretch fine. Johnny knocks Terrax's staff out, but Terrax makes it clear it's not just his axe that makes him powerful. Terrax suck Johnny's flame, and now he's engulfed in it. Ben drops elders on the floor. Herbie was finishing an invention of Reed instead of helping because he's a dumbass. So Reed commands Herbie to fly Ben over to hypersleep. Johnny then defeats Terrax by busting freeze gas in a pipe, causing Terrax to be frozen without the presence of Iceman. We then cut to Galactus and Sphinx, about to battle the Lincoln Memorial Reflection Pool. Sphinx throws giant boulders at Galactus, but Galactus avoids them all. Galactus uses his laser hands. Sphinx rushes Galactus to the underground, but Galactus bursts up to do a flip on Sphinx. Sphinx's hat is all damage, and since my headcanon says no hat means no strength, Galactus grabs Sphinx's wrist to shrink him down. Galactus destroys the Ka crystal. Oh yeah, right, that's his Adam Warlock forehead. He is cursed to live another 5,000 years and search for the Ka stone again. Moon Knight's cloak says that was Sphinx's destiny in the first place. Moon Knight's dagger offers Galactus to see his destiny, but Galactus refuses because he already knows his destiny, which is a giant man eating planets forever. The Watcher comes in and agrees. Reed shows up with a new ultimate nullifier, which worked. Galactus thought it was real. However, he makes a vow to return. Johnny asks the Watcher, why is he interfering? Because the Watcher was reading Reed's mind. Johnny said he can't help but feel that the Watcher is purposely breaking his vow. But, oh no, Reed's butthole cancer is kicking in, so Johnny needs to put Reed in hypersleep. But Johnny gets an idea. He needs to find Tony Stark of all people to cure the Elderly Three. First he calls his fat secretary. She doesn't know anything. He goes to the Avengers, but only Jarvis is there, and Yellow Jacket and Falcon are hungover from Diet Coca-Cola. Then he goes to the S.H.I.E.L.D. helicarrier, but there's a Ginger there. I never heard of him. Turns out Tony Stark is trying to turn toxins into a renewable energy source, so Sergeant Ginger says Tony can't help because it's gonna take hours on end to uncontaminate the green AIM suit. So Johnny calls Xandar. Xandar doesn't know of any cure. Plus, they are too busy winning a war and doesn't want a human pyro to prevent that. And speaking of destinies, Adora just met Swiftwind.
What are they? They're changing into other forms. What evil robots?
You know, Johnny, there's always Wakanda, Doctor Strange, Namor and Atlantis, and Ghost Rider and his Arizona native friends for help. Johnny calls himself weak. He says he should have died. Then he screams to the point he makes the Baxter building light up like the sun. Hey, some lady thinks the FF is dangerous. I wonder what she thinks of muties. But a washing machine turns into the Skrull from earlier. Johnny tries to melt him. The Skrull, whose name is Skrull X by the way, absorb Johnny's flame. And then, Johnny and the Skrull have a fight, with both of them being the amazing Human Torch texture. Skrull X describes himself as having the power of all the four, just like the previous Super Skrull. But we never see it. At least he doesn't have to go through the pain of Thing Hands. All we see are fire, strength, and Iron Man powers with this guy. That strength isn't even Rock Hands good enough. But Skrull X uses his non-Rock Hand strength to punch Johnny into the distance. But to avoid getting hurt, he decides to heat up so hard, he's gonna melt the streets. He then launches out of the sidewalk, describing that as a pounding in his head. Early signs of an aneurysm, those are fun. But wait, Skrull X said he was made to kill Johnny, so does that mean... It means he's a robot! Oh, so that's why he's got Iron Man's powers. Yeah, I'm not too keen on Skrull X being a robot. It would have been better if he just had an Iron Man arm. But I also want to see a real flesh and bones Skrull turning into a vacuum. Turns out Skrull X has another age ray this whole time, so Johnny wants to use it to revive the three. After all, Johnny says they are not dead, their lives are on pause in those tubes. I love literature. Turns out Reed knew Skrull X was a robot this whole time. Makes sense because smartest grandpa alive. After Johnny does some welding with his fingers, Reed warns there's only one shot with the ray. He puts Reed back in the cylinder. As Johnny shoots the ray, he waits for the three to load. But they're the same age. So Johnny offs himself with that same ray gun. That doesn't work anymore, so he's still alive. He grieves about how much of a failure he is. Okay, I've been blocking this fact for quite a bit now. I don't really like Johnny's arc in this. He constantly complains about how worthless he is, even though if you've been reading Fantastic Four since Lee and Kirby, you would have known that's not true. The only thing I really think he fails at is his relationships, which he also mentions here. Looks like he's gonna have to fight all of the Four's previous villains all by himself. But a all too familiar voice interrupts his grieving. The Fantastic Four are alive and well, and their powers are like yesterday. Ben can lift again. You know what I think is missed potential? Because, well, Ben is a different species now. He can still have super strength when he's elderly, it's just that he's dying when he's elderly, and he still has super strength. That's missed writing potential right there. Sue is being lazy with her powers again. Reed can stretch for miles and miles and miles again. So, I guess that ray gun was just a loading issue. And their powers are back, and they recreate their first vow. Next issue, Blastar the Living Bomb Burst. Okay, we're having him return. Let's read it. Oh, yeah. At least we got these Wikipedia articles here. Are those kids? Okay then, that was a good read.